Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's hearing. We're going to hear more evidence today from those who were present in the tower at the time of the fire. Yes, Mr. Millett.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Yes, our next witness is Mr. Roy Smith. Can I please call Mr. Smith?
Yes, thank you.
I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give.
That the evidence I shall give.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
Good. Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Would you like to sit down and make yourself comfortable? Yes, Mr. Millett.
Good morning, Mr. Smith.
Good morning.
Can I please ask you to give the inquiry your full name?
Roy Smith.
Thank you. First, I want to start by thanking you very much for coming here to the inquiry and helping us with our investigations. We very much appreciate it, and we're extremely grateful to you. I appreciate that it may be at times very difficult for you to relive the events of that night, which were heartbreaking and immensely distressing. If at any time during my questions you need a break, all you have to do is signal and we can take a break. It's
Okay.
not a problem. There's no rush at all. Sometimes my questions may be a little difficult to understand, or it may just not be terribly good. So if at any point you want me to repeat the question, I'm happy to do that, or put the question in a different way. Also, sometimes when you're answering, I may be looking at my screen or at my notes, but I am very much listening to what you're saying. So just because I'm not looking at you doesn't mean that I'm not taking on board what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay. Can I start then, please, by asking you to look at the first of the two witness statements that you've done for the inquiry, and we'll look at those on the monitor on the desk on your right, in front of you. The first
You can use the folder if you find it more convenient, but the monitor will sometimes blow up the passage that you're going to be asked about.
I'll use both, that's okay.
See what you find best, all right?
Yes. The first is IWS quintuple 0771. And if you look at that on the screen,
Okay.
This is the first page of a witness statement. Is it your witness statement, your first statement?
It is.
And if we can go to the last page of the statement, please, at page 16. We can see that it carries a date of what looks like the 25th of June, 2018. Is that right?
That's correct.
And there's a signature just above the date with the name Roy Smith underneath it. Is that your signature?
It is.
Have you had an opportunity to read this statement recently?
Yeah.
And can you confirm that the contents of this statement are true?
Yeah.
Now, there's one exhibit, RS1, and that has a reference, IWS quintuple 0931. If we can just have that on the screen, please, 931. This is a floor plan of your flat, which was flat 95 on the 12th floor of Grenfell Tower, and it's a plan which has been completed in manuscript. Is that your writing?
That's not my writing, no.
Okay, but this is was this done under your
Yeah,
instruction?
yeah.
It was. And does that accurately set out the layout of your flat
Yeah.
on the night of, as at the night of the fire?
Yeah.
It does. Thank you. Now, you've also provided a supplementary statement, which is IWS 001169. If we can just have that, please. Is that the first page of your supplemental statement?
It is.
And if we go to the last page, page 3, that's it. It's dated the 19th of October 2018 under a signature. Is that signature yours?
It is.
And have you had an opportunity to read that statement recently?
Yeah.
And can you please again confirm that the contents of that statement are true?
It's true, yeah.
Thank you. Now, according to your first statement, flat 95 on the 12th floor of Grenfell Tower was your family home since 2009.
Yeah.
That's right, is it?
Correct, yeah.
Can you tell us who you lived with during that period? You don't have to use the names if you don't want to.
I live with my partner and my 2 children.
Right. And as at June 2017, I think you say that you were all in good health.
Yeah.
When you moved in 2009, how many bedrooms did the flat have?
2.
2. And as at the night of the fire in June 2017, how many bedrooms did the flat have?
3.
3. Did you make the adaptations to the flat to create a third bedroom?
We did.
And I think you described a little bit in your statement about that. Did you make any other adaptations or changes to the flat other than making a third bedroom?
We put a breakfast bar in and a shower.
Right. And if we could just go back to the plan of the flat that we had a moment ago on the screen, which is RS1. If we could just go to that, it's IWS 931. Thank you. Could you just explain to us where we can see 3 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just explain to us which the third bedroom is, which you created?
It's the first one as you come in the front door on the right.
I see. Now, in your statement, you describe how that third bedroom had light coming into it from the bedroom in the top right-hand corner of the diagram.
Natural light, yeah.
How did that come in? How was there access to natural light?
Because we left the opening for the natural light to come through the main bedroom into the third bedroom.
Okay. And was the opening like a doorway?
No, it was like just an entrance.
Okay, I see. And when you were sitting or standing in that third bedroom, could you clearly see the window in the next door bedroom which adjoins it?
Yeah.
You could?
Yeah.
Now, still on the subject of windows, can I ask you please to look at page 3 of your first statement and go to paragraph 10. You say there that the TMO installed new windows to the flat. Can you remember when they did that?
I can't remember the exact date, no.
Was that during the refurbishment?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then you go on to say Ryden came to the flat and measured the windows, and you explain about the blinds. And then you go on to explain your experience with a window falling out, and that's paragraph 11.
Yeah.
Were all the windows in your flat replaced by Ryden?
Yeah.
And was that as part of the refurbishment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
Now, you describe them as very much smaller than the original windows. Did the size of the windows have any impact on the fitting of the frames into the wall?
For the blinds?
For the windows themselves?
Yeah, there was gaps everywhere.
Right.
They was filled with some like white mastic or something.
Right. Okay. I'll come to that in a bit more detail in a moment. At page 3 of your statement in paragraph 11, you describe in some detail an experience you had when the window came or fell in to your flat when you came back from work one day.
Yeah.
Now, you say at the top of page 4, I went to have a look and saw that the window had come out of the frame and was lying on the floor. First of all, going back, if we can, to IWS 931, which is the plan of your flat, Mr. Smith. We can just have that up again. Can you show us or point to which window you were referring to?
The bedroom right in front of the front door. This one, I don't think.
Would you like to get up and just point it out to us? That would be a help. Thank you.
Yes. We also have a red dot system. And so the bedroom window.
Yeah, right. Yes, thank you very much.
Right. So that's the north-facing bedroom.
My children's bedroom.
The children's bedroom, right.
Yeah, well, my youngest.
And you and your partner had the bedroom between the lounge and that bedroom, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you describe the window falling out of the frame, as you say in paragraph 11 of your statement, was that only the glass, or did it include the PVC frame? Or
No, the whole
surround?
frame. The whole frame came out.
The whole frame came out?
Yeah.
What was left behind?
The gap, the window. the space where the window should be.
The space where the window should be. Okay.
Yeah.
Was that repaired?
Yeah.
Do you remember who repaired it?
Ryden, Linda Prentice, came up the same day after I called them.
Okay. And did she explain to you why the window had fallen in?
She said they were putting so many windows in, this one was probably a few bolts, a few rivets was not replaced, not put in.
Right.
Which was an easy mistake to happen with the amount of work they was doing.
Okay. And then you explain about letting the builders in. You then say, in paragraph 15, once they'd fitted the cladding, the gaps in the cladding were obvious.
Yeah.
From the inside of the flat, it was possible to put your hand out of the window to reach into the cladding and touch the foam inside the metal outer
Frame.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the frame.
Yeah.
Okay, the edges weren't sealed. First of all, was that when you described the gap there that you could put your hand through? Which windows in the flat could you do that with?
Mostly my bedroom, our bedroom, me and my partner's bedroom. That's the one I pulled the foam out of in that one. Because it used to make a clacking noise every night. So
Right.
It was loose and there was a big gap and you could see the foam in it. So I actually pulled the foam out and then called Linda from Ryden and showed her the foam I'd pulled out.
Whereabouts in the window frame could you
This
do
is
that?
the window and then you had outside there a ledge.
Okay, witness is holding up a lever arch file.
Sorry.
Just for
And
the
then
transcript.
you had the cladding, the frames around here and like the ledge there was a gap on the edges here.
On the side edges.
Like the windowsill outside, where it joined the other panel in here. There was gaps on either side.
On the outside of the window?
On the outside of the window.
Okay, I understand. Yes, absolutely. I wonder if you could be shown, thank you, BLAR, and there are 7 zeros and a 3, page 47. And what I'm going to show you, Mr. Smith, is a photograph of the outside of Grenfell Tower. And it's a window, it's not necessarily flat 95, but it's during the construction process. And yes, we can just go to that page, please. It's BLAR 3, page 47. It's BLAR 703 and then page 47. No, that's BLAR 1. So we want BLAR 3. Mr. Smith, I'm so sorry about this. Just want to make sure that we get the right page. Yes, thank you very much. So this is a photograph. I'm looking at figure 8.52 in Dr. Barbara Lane's report, Mr. Smith.
Yep.
And this is, just for our reference, this is under paragraph 8.10.6. And if we just have the uppermost photograph, which is figure 8.52, expanded, we can see that Dr. Lane has identified several parts of the window structure. Using this photograph, if you would, could you point out or identify to us where the gaps were that you were able to put your hand into?
This is a sitting room window, so it was not the bedroom because it's just one window, but we had a gap here and a gap here.
Right, so at the edges of the...
Yeah, in the bedroom we had another panel, so it would be here and here.
Yes, I see. And the witness is pointing out to the edges of the rain screen where they slope away from the window frame on the exterior below the window. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, how you said you could put your hand in centimetres terms. Could you get your hand in easily, or did you have to shove it in?
No, I got my hand in like this, and
Yes.
I pulled the foam out, which was this long and about this thick.
About a foot long and about 2 inches
Yeah,
thick.
and I
from
pulled it out.
The way I'm
And
being
I
able
just
to
pulled it
measure
out.
from here.
Yeah.
Okay. And which was the worst affected window, which had these gaps? Do you remember?
I think our bedroom was the worst, but there was gaps throughout the property. But yeah, in our bedroom was the worst.
Okay. And I'll come back to what was done about that in a moment. But in your statement, you go on to say, at the bottom of page 4, when it was windy, you could hear the cladding rattle.
Yeah.
And then in paragraph 16, you say, we were told that the cladding would keep the temperature and heat in the building when it was cold, and when it was warm, it would cool the building.
Yeah.
Taking those really together, my question is, did you feel air from the outside coming into the flat through these windows?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, which window was the worst offender?
Our bedroom.
Your bedroom.
Yeah.
Where did the air come through?
From the sides, from all around the whole frame.
The whole frame?
Yeah, and then when we made a complaint to Ryden, 2 gentlemen came back up with some, like I said, mastic, and they'd done it all the way round. But it was like this thick, all the way around.
Right.
But then you'd still feel the draft come through.
Okay, and you say this thick. I can probably try and estimate that. But
They
in
done it with
centimetres?
like the gun that they use, and then they got like a sponge and spread it across. It was all the way around. Unfortunately, I don't have no pictures, but it was in a terrible state the way they left it. But we thought it would help, but it didn't help at all.
You said it didn't help. In what way didn't it help?
There was still air coming through.
Where was the air coming through after?
I presume from the same place, because they put PVC windowsills in the flat as well. So, and at the edges there, where they was cut off, I presume it was coming through there, but you could just feel it. You could put your hands near the window and you could just feel air.
Right.
And it was meant to be double glazing. But
Was there any particular? Sorry, did you want to finish your? Was there any particular part of the window which let air in the most?
in the lounge, the kitchen window, then the first lounge window, and then the one in the corner, that was really drafty. And if you put your hand near the windsill, then you could feel a really bad draft. And that was after they filled it with the mastic.
And did you go back to the TMO and tell them that even though someone had come to do a repair, it was still letting air in?
Loads of times.
And what happened?
Nothing. We ended up buying a Dyson cold and hot heater to make the sitting room more warmer.
Right. Now, you describe, as I've just shown you in paragraph 15, that when it was windy you could hear the cladding rattle.
Yeah.
Is that the cladding on the outside of the building?
Yeah, it was like tin.
Like a tin?
Yeah.
Right. And outside which window?
Our bedroom window.
Outside your
Yeah,
bedroom
window,
window?
Yeah.
Did you actually see it? Did you observe it?
Yeah.
Rattling? What did it?
Yeah.
What was rattling?
There was a frame at the side that came down, and it was just loose.
Right.
So when the wind blew, it would just rattle.
Okay. And
Especially when you're at night time, when there's no other noises, you could hear it quite loud.
Right. Did you take that up with the TMO?
Yeah.
And what happened?
They came back, and the gentleman replaced it by, believe it or not, bending it on his leg, bending it back into shape to make it tighter, and replaced it.
Yes, and you describe that in your statement of paragraph 15 in quite clear terms. You say, 3 lines down from the top of page 5, he took a loose section of the metal cladding off,
Yeah.
put it over his knee, bent it to reshape it, and then put it back on the building.
Yeah.
There's a couple of detailed questions about that. How did he take this section of cladding
It
off?
had like bends around it. So for instance, again, it had like grips around it, and it was loose. That's what you said. So he took it off and he bent it into shape on his knee like that, and then fixed it back on, just like that. Just put it back into place like that, and that was it.
Did it help?
No.
How easy was it? Did you need tools to take it off? Or-
No, he used his bare hands, and he bent it with his knee.
Can we just go back to... Thank you. Can we just go back to BLAR 3, page 47, and that photograph we looked at a minute ago, figure 8.52. Is the bit of cladding that the man took off and bent over his knee and replaced visible on that photograph?
On the top one, no, it's not on there yet.
Okay. Can you tell us by reference to the bottom photograph then, which is 8.53?
Well, it was on the side here. It was on the side. They put a panel on the bedroom window, which was not there. But here, there was a panel up here.
I see. Okay. So the right-hand side of your bedroom window.
It was on the left-hand side of the bedroom window.
As you look out, your right-hand side.
Yeah. Sorry.
What did he do to secure the cladding, this man? Was a man, was it?
It was a man, yeah.
What did he do to secure the cladding when he replaced it?
He just put it back on. It had like bends around the back, so he just forced it back on.
Right.
That was it.
Then you say, still in paragraph 16, I pointed out to him the gaps in the cladding where it was joined, that you could touch the foam inside and even pull it out.
Yeah.
Did he say anything in response to you?
No, Linda Prentice did. She asked me why I took it out, why I pulled it out.
So she was there with this man, was she?
Yeah. She was the one overseeing all the workers. She was the one with the white hat. She was the foreman, I suppose you could call her.
Okay. And she asked you why you took the foam out, did she?
Yeah.
What did you say?
Just to show how easy it was to take it out.
What did she say?
Nothing. It's not. She said not to take it out.
Right.
It's heat. It was meant to keep the heat in, and
Did the man who effected the repair you've described say anything about the gaps that you
No.
pointed out?
no.
Okay. Then in paragraph 16 of your statement, you say that in the third line, we asked Claire Williams again and again if it was safe, and we were told that it was. Why did you ask her if the... well, first of all, what was safe? The question is, what were you asking her was safe?
Our flat.
Your flat generally?
Yeah, just for January, yeah. Because we was going to have gas pipes put through the ceiling, through the front door. We was going to have a boiler put by the front door,
Right.
which was the only way out, which was gas. So I wanted to know if everything was safe.
Okay. So was your question at all related to the cladding?
Everything, the whole job, the whole works.
Did you specifically ask Claire Williams of the TMO if the cladding was safe?
No.
Going over the page in your statement to paragraph 21, you deal with the question of the front door there, and you say, Ryden installed a new front door just before Christmas in 2016.
Yeah.
It had a security chain and a spy hole. It also had a self-closer mechanism. Shortly afterwards, as I was opening or closing it, I heard a crack, and the weight and chain snapped and fell inside the door. After that, the door no longer self-closed. Where was the chain and weight? Can you describe that for us?
Yeah, it was where the hinges are, the top hinge, the bottom hinge, in the middle, you had a chain on it. In fact, it was my partner that was opening the door, and then you heard bang. Just unbelievable noise. And then the chain had snapped and gone into the door itself.
Right. Into the door, not the frame?
Into the frame, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was it. It just snapped. So we just left it like that.
Right. Where do you think, I mean, I know you're not an expert on front doors, but where was the weight, did you think?
I presumed it was in the door.
Within the door?
Yeah, to pull it. So whatever snapped, it must have went in, because afterwards we had a round hole in the door like that.
Yes.
And it was the company that done the doors. They was on site, I think, for 6 weeks or something, and then so they was gone by then.
Right. Did you report that to the TMO?
Yeah.
And did they send anyone to repair it?
No.
Did you report it again? Did you press the point?
No, I didn't.
As at the night of the fire, was the door still in that non-self-closing state?
Yeah.
Do you remember whether there were any gaps around the front door?
No, not around the front door.
Okay. Still sticking with page 6 of your first statement, Mr. Smith, at paragraph 23, you say, at the bottom of the page, we used to hear the dry riser going off all the time. What do you mean by the dry riser?
Well, there was an extractor fan outside your front door. There was 2 panels. And where we made the other bedroom, there was I don't know how to explain it, like a corner of the room cut off. And that's where this thing used to go on. It would be like, you go, so obviously it's like a smoke extractor, I believe. But downstairs, where the main room was, it said on the door, dry riser. So that's where I got dry riser from.
Okay, I see. Just unpicking that a bit, if I can just do that. First of all, could you go back to the plan of your flat, RS1? Could you, I think, referred in your last answer to outside the front door 2 panels and where we made the other bedroom.
Yeah.
You said that there was a corner of the room cut off.
Yeah, it's these 2 here.
Can you just point that out?
This is it being our flat, and this is being our neighbour's flat.
I see.
So that's where it used to come up from.
And the corner cut off in the 3rd bedroom?
It was blocked off. It was there already, because this used to be a cupboard.
I see.
And we opened up the cupboard, so you can hear it more now, but that was where it used to be. And on the other side, it'd be on the other side of the flats, in the opposite side.
And did that cut off corner run from floor to ceiling?
Yeah, all the way up. Yeah.
All the way up. And you also referred in that answer to a vent. Can I show you a photograph, please? Which is BLA 000 2513 and 2514. Before those go up on the screen, I should just make a small warning. This is going to be a photograph of the inside of the tower taken after the fire. So, are you comfortable that I should show you that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's 2513 and 2514. These are photographs we've looked at with many other witnesses. These are photographs taken from floor 6, Mr. Smith, so not your floor. Can you identify for us the vents that you're talking about? Those. And that's on the north side of the building.
That would be my flat above.
Just next to your front door.
Yeah.
And your front door, just so we've got this absolutely right, is to the left.
To the left, yeah.
Right, okay. And now, I just want to ask you about the noise that you hear or heard. You were describing it as a sort of whoosh or whoosh.
Yeah, it's like a whoosh. It would come gradually, like because they would move. They would open these silver things here.
Right.
They would move. They would rotate up and down. So that's when the air would come up. But you'd hear it in the flat regularly.
Regularly.
In my eldest daughter's bedroom.
Right. How often? Well, first of all, when did you first start hearing the ventilation shaft making those noises?
Mostly after refurbishment, after we'd done the bedroom, because there was no cupboard door to protrude it. 'Cause before it was a cupboard, our coats was in there, so maybe that might have just dampened the noise. But I heard it quite regular when we done the bedroom.
Okay.
Often as well.
Did you ever hear it when you were standing in the lobby, the communal lobby?
Yeah.
When you did hear it operating in the communal lobby, how loud was it?
Just like a whirling noise, just like that.
Can you compare it with a vacuum cleaner, louder or softer or the same?
A vacuum cleaner, yeah, about the same.
About the same as a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Now, how often would the ventilation system go on and work in that way?
After the refurbishment, I heard it at least 7 or 8 times go off.
Was there anything that you recall which triggered it, or any conditions which you could associate with it working?
No, I assumed because there was people still in and out of the tower doing bits of work. They might have been testing it, or sometimes of the night time I thought it was 40.
Right.
But then we just started to live with it. I thought that's how it worked. I thought that's what it's meant to do.
Right. How long before the night of the fire do you remember hearing the ventilation system working?
A couple of weeks.
Right. Now, you referred a minute ago to the something moving on the outside of the vents when you were in the communal lobby.
Yeah.
Did you actually watch them or see them move?
Yeah. When I heard the noise, I went right up to the grill and looked through. Yeah, I did, to see what it was.
And when it did operate in that way in the communal lobby, did you feel any movement of air?
Yeah.
Where was that coming from?
From the grills. The same grills here. When it used to open, you
Yeah.
could feel air coming through.
And would it come in, the air?
Yeah.
Right. With how much force?
Not much, just like a draft.
A draft.
Hmm.
Okay. And when the vents were operating, do you remember whether anything else happened at the same time? Mechanical?
No, just that.
No? You didn't notice what happened with the lifts?
No. If I'd go into work and it would come on, the lifts would still be working. It won't be out of service.
Okay.
And a couple of times, I forgot to add, I came home from work and downstairs there was gentlemen in that room that said dry riser working in there. So I don't know if what they was doing to it, because on the night of the fire, I actually listened for it to come on. While we've made the phone call to the fire brigade, I actually listened to it, thinking that's going to help a bit, but it didn't come on.
Didn't come on?
No.
We'll come to the night of the fire and what you've just said in a moment. Did you notice any other effect when it was on?
No.
Such as with your hot water?
No. There was a lot of time we lost heating and hot water.
Right.
But that was just, I didn't put it down to that.
You didn't put it down to that?
No.
All right. Okay. Yes. While we're still on this photograph, I asked you about the photograph on the left, which is looking to the north of the communal lobby. Looking at the second photograph, we can see similar vents towards the floor level at the south of the lobby. Did you ever hear the noise coming out of those?
I didn't look, to be honest, just my ones. Just mine and my neighbours.
Right. And what about air coming out?
I
Same?
didn't notice, I just presumed they was the same.
Okay. Did you ever notice the flaps on those moving?
No.
Now, I just want to ask you a few questions about your awareness of what you should do in the event of a fire before the events of the 14th of June. First, can I ask that the witness please be shown INQ 6093? Yeah, I'm going to come to that. Come to that. This is a photograph, well, it is a photograph actually, of a notice. Have you ever seen this before?
Yeah.
Where have you seen this before?
Next to the lift on the wall.
Okay. How long before the fire was this notice by the lifts on your wall, on the wall?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. I've never really noticed it before. Like in the previous picture I was going to answer as well, I saw a red thing next to the lift, which looked like a fire extinguisher. Is that what that was? Because we never had that on our floor.
No, I'm not sure I'm able to answer your question about that either.
But yeah, I did see
notice,
that. I did see that on the wall, yeah.
And you moved into Grenfell in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Was that notice there at that time?
I can't be
Anywhere
sure.
in the building?
I can't be sure.
No.
No, I can't be sure.
Okay. Did you see this notice anywhere else in the building other than by the lifts on your floor?
Just on my lift. Just,
Okay.
you know, when you're waiting for the lift, you just see things that's in front of you. That's all I saw, yeah.
Okay. Now there's a lot of detailed instruction in that, but just turning away from it. Well, first question is, did you ever read it?
I saw some of it. I read some of it. But I didn't really. We was always told by there was a gentleman called Tony who was there before, and there was a fire on the 6th floor. Some dustbin bags had been set afire. And the gentleman said, Tony said, any fires in there, they're all self-contained flats. He said it's all solid concrete, so, you know, once you're in there, you're in there. So I just presumed we were safe in there. I didn't really take much notice of that, no.
Okay. So
I just knew you don't lose a lift in the event of fire. I knew that.
right. So in general terms, if you could encapsulate your understanding of what to do in the event of a fire on the block, very simply, what was it as at the night?
Stay indoors.
Stay indoors.
Keep windows closed.
Apart from this notice and what you just described about your discussion with Tony, did you ever get any information from any organisation or any individual about what to do in the event of a fire anywhere in the block?
No.
Can I just ask you, did you understand, as at the night of the fire, that there was a general alarm in the block that would go off if there was a fire in the block?
No.
That wasn't your understanding?
No.
Now, Mr. Smith, I'm now going to turn to the events of the 13th and 14th of June 2017. On the evening of the 13th of June, I think you were at home with your two daughters.
Correct.
And I think your partner was out at work.
Yeah.
And let me just summarise your evidence in your statement, if I can, and tell me if this is wrong. But you had an ordinary evening at home with your daughters and with Jessica Urbano, who was a friend of one of your daughters.
Georgina's friend, yeah.
And Jessica went home, I think.
Yeah, they used to go to the gym together every night, Georgina and Jessica, yeah.
Right.
So she used to come up and then go upstairs.
Okay. And you, I think, went to bed after about 9 p.m.
Yeah.
When you went to bed, do you remember, were the windows in the flat open or closed?
Closed.
Were they all closed?
Yeah.
Why was that?
Just something I used to do, just close the windows.
Right.
Because especially from the kitchen, it was just, you had the A40, so it was quiet. You'd hear the cars like that kind of noise, so it was something we'd done.
And I think your partner returned home from work after you'd all gone to sleep, is that right?
Yeah.
And then you say in your statement, she came to bed at about midnight.
Yeah.
That's paragraph 30 of your statement. We don't need to look at it. Apart from your daughters and your partner, was there anybody else in the flat after that time?
No.
Now, you set out in your statement that the first time you noticed any signs of smoke or fire that night was when you woke up about 1:10, when you got up to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
And you say that at paragraph 31, and you say, I checked my phone, and that is why I know what time it was. And you say also, the same paragraph, that you noticed a funny smell like burning plastic, but quite faint.
Yeah.
Did you first notice the smell, I'm sorry to ask you this, but did you first notice the smell when you got up out of bed or when you were in the toilet?
No, when I got out of bed, I sat on the edge of the bed first, because I'd just woken up, and straight away I smelt something funny.
Right.
So I went to the toilet, used the toilet, went to the bathroom, washed my hands, and smelt it faintly in the hallway. So I checked around, make sure every night when I used to go to the loo anyway, I used to check my daughters, make sure they was okay, and then I went back to bed.
Right.
And I said to
Now
my partner up and said, can she smell it?
You first noticed the smell. You say it was faint. What was it a smell of?
It was just like plastic.
Plastic. Burning plastic.
Yeah.
Did you turn any lights on?
At one stage I did, yeah, because it started to get stronger in our bedroom. So I presumed it was in our flat.
Yeah.
I thought it was our flat, it was on fire.
Just taking it a little bit more in stages, you describe the smell and the smell being stronger in the hall. You went, checked the oven, and then checked the girls.
Yeah.
And then what you say you went back to bed.
Yeah.
And then at paragraph 32 you say, I got up again and I put the light on in the bedroom.
Yeah.
What made you get up again?
Because it's got stronger.
Right.
In our room. So at that stage I first thought was it was the TV. I thought it was our TV. Because that's the only electronic thing that was in the bedroom, so I presumed it was stronger in our room, it was that.
So it was stronger in your bedroom, was it, than in the hall?
I'm talking about the hall outside the front door, it was strong.
Yes.
But in our hallway, it wasn't as strong as
I see.
in our bedroom.
I follow.
Yeah, communal hall.
So you get up again because the smell of the smoke is stronger.
Yeah, I laid down. I just laid back down and I was sniffing and I thought, it's getting stronger. So I looked at the TV and I thought, it's got to be the TV. So I got back up and I put the light on and it was like nothing much had changed. And then Kasha said, my partner said, get the girls. And I said to her, call the fire brigade. And at this stage, I still thought it was our flat on fire. And that's when I opened the front door.
Now, you say in the same paragraph, you put the light on, and you had downlight, 3 downlighters
Three spotlights, yeah.
in your bedroom. And you say in the second and third line, you thought a bulb had gone, but very quickly realised the room was full of smoke. It was like
Yeah.
a fog or mist. Did it have the same smell as
Yeah.
you just described?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's why I thought it was in our flat, because then, like I said, once I put the light on, I thought it's got to be in our flat, because the smoke was in our room. So I thought it's our flat that's on fire.
Yes. And you say you could just see the lights through the smoke,
Yeah.
and you described the smoke. How far away from the lights were you?
I was by the bedroom door, so from here to say that screen, the big screen behind the judge.
Right. Okay. Now, you say in your statement, paragraph 32, 3 lines up from the end of that paragraph, this was around 1:20, which would be 10 minutes after you first woke up.
Yeah. I'm assuming the time, because I know I woke up at 1:10,
Yes.
so I'm assuming it was around that time.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you, how did you know it was 1:20?
Oh, I just assumed. I'm just going on the time that I woke up. I know for a fact I woke up at 1:10. But the rest is just... Obviously, things slow down in events like this, but I was just, in my mind, I was thinking, like, minutes had passed, so I assumed it was like 1:20. Like, even on one of my calls to the fire brigade, it was totally a wrong time, I presumed. And, you know, you don't think of the time in things like this, do you?
No, I understand that entirely. So you're in your bedroom, and there's this smoke or fog-like,
yeah.
mist-like smoke. Could you see where it was coming from?
No,
Could you see any signs of fire at that
No.
stage?
no,
Was the bedroom window in your bedroom still closed?
yeah. And we had perfect fit blinds, the ones that pull down, so they're blackout blinds, so
Right,
it was all closed.
all closed. Did you go and check any of the other rooms?
Yeah,
Which rooms did you check?
kitchen and my daughter's bedrooms.
Was there smoke in those rooms?
Not as much as, little faint, but not as much as in our bedroom. That's why I presume the main fire was in our bedroom, and that's why my partner said, get the girls, call the fire brigade, and we was going to exit the flat
Right.
until you opened the front door and then realised it wasn't my flat, because the corridor, the landing outside was full of smoke.
Did you get a chance to look at the front door at that stage?
Yeah,
Did you see any signs of smoke coming from the front door?
no,
Now, at paragraph 36, on page 9 of your first statement, you say, we could hear our neighbour at flat 96, Mrs. Lewis, screaming out that there was a fire in her kitchen,
correct.
that it was on fire.
Yeah,
Could you actually hear her say?
I could hear her screaming. She ran outside, and I opened the front door.
So she opened her front door and
She
came
opened
into
her front door. We could hear the screaming. I think at the time my partner was on the phone to the fire brigade, and we could hear her screaming that her flat was on fire. So I was going to say, like, tell her to come into my flat, because I thought at that stage maybe that's where the fire must have been coming from, because she's my next door neighbour. So now I realised it wasn't my flat on fire, and the landing was on fire, full of smoke outside, and she started. I put 2 and 2 together and came up with 5 because I thought it was her flat.
I see. Where were you when you first heard her screaming?
I was in the hallway.
You were in the hallway, so you heard her through your front door?
Yeah.
I see. Did you look out of the front door at that point?
Yeah.
What, through the keyhole?
No,
through the
I
spy hole?
opened it.
You opened it. What were the smoke conditions like in the
Darker grey.
a darker grey
Yeah, than it was previously.
than it was previously when you'd seen it?
The
where?
first time, yeah. When I first opened it the first time, it was like grey fog, like in my bedroom, but a little bit darker. But when I opened it again, it was gradually, it just got darker and darker.
Okay. Now let's just try and take this a little bit more in stages. How long after you got up the second time, because you describe how you got up the first time at 1:10 and got up the second time and turned the lights on and saw the smoke, how long after that did you first hear Mrs. Lewis screaming?
Well, I thought it was like 20 minutes later, That's what I presumed, but I've later found out it was 50 minutes later.
Okay. When you got up for the second time, well, let me ask it this way. When was the first time that you opened the front door into the communal lobby?
As I presumed around I thought it was 1:20 when I thought it was our flat, and I thought we got to get out. Because
Right.
the stay put advice was, if it's anywhere else, you stay put. But I presumed it was in my flat.
Yes.
So we were going to leave, but then I realised it wasn't, because the smoke wouldn't be more out in the communal part than it would be in our flat, because our hallway and the girls' room was not as full of smoke as our bedroom and the communal hallway.
I see.
So I knew it was in our flat then. And then obviously when I heard Mrs. Lewis, like I said, I thought it must be her flat, because she's our neighbour.
Did you open the front door for the first time before you heard Mrs. Lewis?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you heard Mrs. Lewis, you then opened the front door a second time?
Yeah.
I see. And roughly how long between those two door openings do you think elapsed?
Like I said, I thought it was like 10 minutes, but I opened the first one probably, I thought it was 1:20, but like I said, I can't remember the exact time. I thought that was about when we was going to leave, but I now know that Mrs. Lewis left her flat at 1:50.
Now, can I then take you, because you refer to a call to 999 that your partner made.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just show you that? It's LFB 309. And I just want to have that on the screen. You also say in your statement, just to put this in some context, at paragraph 35, you say, Kazia said, get the girls, I'll call the fire brigade. So your partner said that.
Mm-hmm.
And then your partner rang the fire brigade using your landline, and I went to wake the girls.
Yeah.
And then your partner passed the phone to you, and you took over.
Yeah.
That's how it worked.
I believe, yeah.
Now, if I can then show you the transcript, you can see from the number to the left of the last number on the right, it says 012658. And that's the time of the call at 012658.
Okay.
How long into the call, so your partner makes the call, how long into that call, how long is she on the phone for before she hands the phone to you, do you think?
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's just go through the transcript a little bit. Page 2, a third of the way down, caller, we do having the fire in the building. We're living on the 12th floor. Can you please give me advice about what shall we do? Because we can see the fire coming through the window. Do you think that was you, or do you think that was your partner?
No, it's my partner.
That was your partner. Mm-hmm. And then there's discussion about Lancaster West. Yeah, we're on our way. And then caller, yes, but I need to know, I've got an audible because I heard that it's the floors below, inaudible next door. My neighbour, she's saying the fire in her kitchen already. I have 2 kids, we really don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Was that you or your partner, do you think?
I think that was my partner.
Okay. And then at the bottom of the page, question, have you got any smoke coming into your property? And at the top of page 3, yes, it's coming through the door from our main door because it's outside. Do you remember, was this call which your partner made before or after you looked into the communal landing for the first time?
After.
After.
Yeah.
And it looks as if your partner knows by this stage that your neighbour, Mrs. Lewis, is saying that there was a fire in her kitchen already.
Yeah.
So can you help us time that? Does that mean that you'd been out onto the lobby the second time and seen her?
Yeah, it probably was, if you check the time on the fire brigade call, because the first time I opened the door, like I said, there was smoke, so obviously some smoke must have come in to our property. Then I knew that's how I knew we couldn't leave.
Right.
And then when the neighbour screamed, I think I might have took the phone from my partner then.
Okay. So just trying to time we're just trying to time it because we know this call is at 1:26:58. It looks from this as if you or your partner know that your neighbour's saying the fire was in her kitchen already at that stage.
So that must be the stage, because I know that she exited the building at 1:50.
Yeah.
So,
But just getting your recollection, do you think you heard Mrs. Lewis screaming that the fire is in her kitchen before your partner made this call? Or
no, I think it's while she was on the phone.
while she was on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you say also that the smoke was coming through the front door. At this stage, was it coming through the closed front door, or was it coming through because the door had been opened?
Probably because it'd been opened, because
Okay.
there was no smoke coming in while it was closed, no.
So when you closed the door again, it stayed outside, did it?
And that's why I was told to put towels there, yeah.
Okay. When you looked into the communal landing, and I'll take the two looks if you like, in order. For the first time when you looked, did you open the door or did you
Yeah.
look through the spy hole?
No, I opened the front door.
Okay. And could you describe the conditions in the communal lobby at that stage?
Yeah, it was smoky.
Smoky.
Yeah, but not as dark as it got gradually. It was. I'd say it was the same colour as our bedroom at that stage, the first time.
Did you notice where the smoke was coming from?
No,
Was it moving or was it static?
it was moving,
It was moving.
Yeah,
Which
it was
direction
like-
was it
just-
moving in?
just swirling.
Oh, swirling. Okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't. I think you said earlier you didn't notice that the air vents were working at that
No,
stage.
no. Like I said, I actively listened for them because I thought that would draw the smoke, and then we could leave.
Right. Could you hear any particular noises or sounds at that stage, that first door opening?
No.
No. Turning to the second door opening, what was the smoke then like?
It was dark.
Dark. When you say dark, I mean,
It was.
can you give it a colour or tone?
Yeah, it was like the floor,
Right.
grey like that.
Could you smell it?
Yeah.
What does it smell like?
Still like plastic.
Like plastic. Did it have any physical effect on you?
Yeah.
What?
It took my breath away. It made you choke.
Made you choke? What about your eyes?
No, I thought eyes were fine. We just got towels after that and wet towels and breathed through them.
Now, if you look back at your statement, paragraph 38, you say, as far as I can remember, the first time I opened the front door, there was a Thai lady from flat 91 on the landing. She said the fire was on the 4th floor. She'd already pressed the lift button. I said, don't go in the lift. But then the lift pinged and the doors opened and she got in the lift. Did you see anybody else other than the Thai lady?
No. I saw her briefly and she said it was on the 4th floor, but I assumed it was
Right.
on our landing.
Now, she's given a witness statement to the inquiry, and she said that there was no smoke in the lobby at that time. Can you comment on that?
No. Well, I saw smoke. I don't know how she missed it. I'm not going to say she's lying. But I saw smoke.
Fine. You say that she told you there was a fire on the 4th floor. Did
Yeah.
she tell you how she knew that?
No.
Do you remember if both lifts were working?
I didn't look. I just heard the lift door and she just disappeared.
Okay.
And I didn't see her again until 3 months later in the St James's Church, St Clement's Church. Sorry, saw her in there.
When she got into the lift, do you remember seeing anybody else in the lift?
No, I closed the front door. I didn't go out.
You didn't go out.
I closed the front door back.
And where were you standing when you saw the lady from flat 91?
By my front door.
By your front door?
Yeah. I opened the door and I stepped out a bit to see, because I didn't want to go into the smoke.
Could you see her quite clearly getting into the lift, or?
No, not clearly.
Right. Do you... Now, I know your flat door is next to flat 96, Mrs. Lewis's flat. When you came out and saw the neighbour from 91 going into the lift. Do you remember whether Mrs. Lewis's flat front door was open or not?
I don't know.
Did you see it or
I didn't look. No,
you
I
didn't
didn't.
look?
No.
Okay. Now, in your statement, at paragraph 45, just moving ahead a bit, you say at page 10, later that night I heard my neighbour on my floor, Mrs. Lewis, screaming that her flat was on fire. First of all, that's the same occasion that you heard her screaming that her flat was on fire?
Yeah.
It's not a separate occasion?
No, she screamed that my kitchen flat was on fire. And she said, my flat's on fire, and then...
Okay. The reason I asked that question is because in the paragraphs before that, 41 and 43, you've covered the later calls, the 999 calls at 138 and 144. So I was just making sure that there was no further or later episode. Of
she
Mrs.
ran out.
Lewis.
She ran out after that.
Okay, that's clear. Now, you say at paragraph 45 that, in the second line, at about 1:50, I saw her run to get into the lift, and that was at about 1:50 a.m. And in your second statement, so that's what you say in your first statement, in your second statement you say that you've noted that her CCTV exit time was 1:28 a.m.
Yeah.
And you say that at paragraph 4 of your second statement. Tying those two together and trying to work out the order of events, are you sure that you saw Mrs. Lewis go to the lift at 1:50?
I'm not sure of the time. I presumed it was because the time we was in there and the time it was going, things was moving and it just seemed forever. So I assumed it was at that time.
I've now
found out she left at 1:50 out the building, so it could have been 1:45 maybe then.
Right. Did you actually see Mrs. Lewis leaving her flat?
Yeah, I saw her. Because when she screamed her flat was on fire, that's when I opened the front door again. I opened my flat door on numerous occasions, as you can see from my statement.
Right. How many times do you think you opened your front door to look out into the communal lobby before you saw her leave her flat?
Twice.
Twice. Do you remember whether you saw her leave her flat before or after you saw the Thai lady from
After.
flat 91?
After.
After.
Yeah.
Do you remember how long after?
10
roughly?
minutes, 15 minutes. She ran out. She ran.
Okay. When Mrs. Lewis ran from her flat, did you actually see her moving out from her flat?
Yeah, I shouted, come in here, come in here.
Okay. And where did she go?
Towards the lift. But that's all I know. Because by this time it was dark grey. She just disappeared. And then my partner, we thought, later stage we had to find out if she was alive because she just disappeared. So we thought, you know.
Did you see her go into the lift or into the stairs?
I see her going towards the lift entrance, and that was it. I didn't see her again.
Did you notice whether, when she left her flat front door was open or closed?
I don't know. I didn't. Like I said, I was scared. You know. I closed the door. I was just hoping someone was going to come and put the fire out and say it was going to, you know, everyone's going to be all right. No stage did I know that anywhere else was on fire until my partner said to me, it's spreading up the building. At that time, I was concerned about getting my partner and my children out. So I thought, first of all, I thought it was my flat. Then I realised it wasn't. Then I thought it was 96. But then the lady said it was a fourth floor. And I thought, how can it be the fourth floor with the smoke up here? Everything was going in my mind at the same time. But I know we're on the 12th floor, and I just want to get us all out to safety. So that's why my times are out. It just seemed forever.
Yes.
It just seemed forever in there.
No, I understand that. At the time when Mrs. Lewis left her flat, can you tell us again what the conditions in the communal lobby were like?
It was like this, dark grey like
It's the
this.
same as before.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen the first call to 999 at 1:26, which was the one made by your partner, and then you took over. We've seen the transcript, or some of the transcript of that call. If we could just go back to that. It's LFB 309. If we can just have that on the screen. at the bottom of page 3, the caller says, is it the normal, the towels or the wet towels? Was that you asking that question, do you think?
No, it's not me.
And then on to page 4, the question is repeated, and the operator says it doesn't say, it's at flat 16 in the Grenfell Towers. No, says the caller, we're on the floor 12th. Operator, yeah, but I'm telling you, listen, I'm just telling you where the actual fire is, okay, so it's flat 16. And the caller says it's something, 16, but it's already came to the 12th. She's saying that she's telling that she was shouting, she's having fire in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Operator, yeah, that's right, and the fire brigade are on the scene, okay, all right, then thank you. And the call then ends. Do you remember yourself telling the operator that the fire was on the 12th floor?
96, yeah. But no, I'm not sure in this call.
Right. Could that have been... Was it possible that the entirety of this call was your partner?
That's possible, yeah.
Okay. Did your partner tell you about what had happened on the call?
No.
Okay. After this call, we know there are 3 further 999 calls. Mr. Chairman, I think we've been going for just about an hour now. Maybe an appropriate moment to take a break.
Well, I was going to ask you in a moment whether you'd reached a convenient point.
Yes,
Have you?
Yes, I have. That is convenient.
Right. Well, it's usually good for everyone to take a short break after about an hour or so. So we're going to stop now for 10 minutes or so. I'm going to ask you, please, not to talk to anyone about your evidence while you're out of the room.
Okay.
If you go with the usher, she'll look after you, and we'll resume at 11:15. Is that right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, 11:15 then, please. Well, I think we're ready to start, so could we have a bit of hush, and then I'll ask the witness to come back in. Right, Mr. Smith, are you happy to carry on?
Yes, yes, I am.
Thank you very much. All right. Yes, Mr. Millett?
Yes, Mr. Smith, thank you very much for coming back to us. Where we left off was that there were 3 further phone calls to 999 that were made from your flat, I think by you. Is that right? You made 3 calls. And just for the timing, so you've got them in your head, the first one is at 1:38:37, which lasted for 1 minute and 19 seconds, so 1:38. The second one at 1:44:33, which lasted for just a bit over 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. So that's 1:44. And then the last one at 1:54, which was a very long one. You remember that? Which lasted 40 minutes and 50 seconds. And then you are finally recorded on the CCTV as leaving the building at 2:42 with your family. Now that's the time frame we're looking at. I want to ask you first of all about some questions about the time that you spent within the flat before you left. Looking at the floor plan, if we can, which is the exhibit to your statement, IWS 932, we can just have that back up on the screen. IWS 932, page 2. Let's try 1. Let's try 9. That's it. Thank you. The plan appears there. Whereabouts did you spend most of the time in your flat after your partner had made the first of the 999 calls?
Here, space here.
So the kitchen and the lounge.
Yeah, that's where my family was based all of the time.
Right.
But I would be from this window up and down the hallway to the front door.
Now, before you made your first call, but your family's second call, if you like, to 999, which we timed at 1:38:37, can you remember what the conditions were like within your flat at that time?
Yeah, just darker grey, just smoke again, just more smoke.
More smoke.
And the sitting room started to get
right
a bit of smoky now because I closed the door in the bedroom when we left out.
Where were you? Do you remember when you made your 999 call, the one at 1:38?
I was in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. And did you look out of the window?
Yeah.
What could you see?
Loads of people down at the bottom of the tower.
Right. Could you see any signs of smoke?
No.
Could you see any flames?
No, not at that time, no.
Right. And could you work out where the smoke in your flat was coming from at that stage?
My bedroom, that's why I closed the door. I presumed that was the most smoke.
Right.
Coming from there.
And at the time you made that 999 call, was the smoke worse in your bedroom than it had been when you first...
I'm not sure because I closed the door, I didn't go back in.
You didn't go back in. Now, can I take you to the transcript of your 999 call at 1:38:37, first of all, which is at LFB 318. And in order to take you through it all, that you say at the beginning, top of page 2, "Hello, love, there's a fire in Grenfell Tower, but it's spreading. I don't know what to do. Do we stay put? It's on our floor now." And then you're asked, what floor? You say, we're on the 12th. You're on 12th, okay. It's come through the next door kitchen now. And then you're asked, it's in the next door kitchen. Yeah, well, can you get some fresh air? No, because it started on the 16th floor and it's just spreading, all the stuff flying out the windows. When you say it started on the 16th floor, what was in your mind? What were you trying to
My partner had received a message saying that there was a fire on the 16th floor of the block that we was living in.
Right. Okay.
So I dismissed that it started on the 4th, and I thought that's what it's happened.
Yes. And you say on page 3, if you go over the page, and if you can block it up in the meantime, I presume it's not safe to go outside. And you say, no, it's all smoke. Mm-hmm. What were you referring to there?
Oh, the communal hall landing.
Okay. And at the end of that call, essentially you are given the advice on page 4, 2/3 of the way down. Try and keep calm. You see it says there, try and keep calm, and if you can get to a window and get some fresh air and block up anywhere where the smoke's coming, okay. Thanks, but make sure they check on me. Thank you, yeah. When that call ended, what did you expect would happen next?
I expected like 5 or 10 minutes that the fireman was going to appear.
Right. Did you have any thoughts about evacuating?
Yeah.
And why didn't you?
It was too dark. I couldn't risk losing my wife and my children.
Too dark where? In the
communal parts, in the common parts, yeah. It was smoky in our flat, but it wasn't as dark in the hallway and the lounge as it was outside the front door. So I still thought it was safe at that point.
Did you,
from the smoke, from the fire itself?
Before you made this call, did you look again out of your front door and check the lobby conditions?
Mm-hmm.
You did?
Yeah.
Was that before or after you think Mrs. Lewis left her flat?
I looked again after.
So this call is made after she leaves her flat, and after you've checked again?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I just kept checking to see if anyone was coming for us, and it was our only lifeline to get out, wasn't it? So I just wanted to keep checking that there was no fire on the landing and that we weren't trapped permanently. So I just kept checking, yeah.
Yeah. Now the next call you make is about 6 minutes later at 1:44:33. And that's LFB 324. We could just have the first page of that. Again, Mr. Smith, at the top of the page you can see the time of this call as the second set of figures from the right. There's 01:44:33, and the transcript of the call starts on page 2. Operator, fire brigade, caller, we're stuck in the flat in 95. Okay, please help us, I've got 2 children. All right, what floor are you on? 12th. Right, the 12th, right. You're well away from the fire, that's on the 4th floor, okay. And then you say, yeah, but it's starting. Is there any smoke in your flat? Yeah, because the bits of ember have set a fire in next to number 96. It's gone next door. Say that again. The fire embers have started a fire in the flat next door as well. The front, it's come up through the windows. It's gone into number 96 Grenfell Tower. Mm-hmm. And then you say, at the top of the next page, and what's on fire next door? The kitchen. The kitchen, right. What flat number is that? 96. This is information that you'd already given to the control room, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts at that time about whether or not they'd actually really understood what you were doing and what the conditions were on your floor?
Well, there was no one on the landing putting out the fire, so I just thought I'd tell him again. And obviously after my partner had got a photo with a message saying that it was on the 16th, I thought the embers had fell down until the operator told me it was actually the 4th floor. That's when I said it must have come up then. So I was just explaining to him it's in the kitchen, so if they do come up, it's in the kitchen. And it's close to us now, it's next door.
Now, a little bit further down page 3 of the transcript, just below halfway, you say all the front doors with towels, because you're answering the question, what have you blocked it with? And you say all the front doors with towels, but it's coming in, please get us out.
Yeah.
What was coming in? What were you referring to?
Smoke.
Where was the smoke coming into your flat from at this stage?
I don't know. It was just in the flat. I don't know where it was. presume now it must have been through the windows, or
Right.
because the front door was sealed up with towels, or maybe when I was opening the door, but it just started to creep in.
Could you see any smoke coming through your windows or around your windows?
No,
You couldn't.
no, it was just the whole room. My eldest daughter, at one stage, we put her under the kitchen bar, my children, keep them low with the towels, and then she said, it's more smoky down here than it was up.
Right. So smokier lower down than higher up.
Yeah, that's what she said under this. She was sitting under the breakfast bar, so I don't know if the smoke was getting caught against the bar and rising, but so we had to move them from there, yeah.
I see. And did you notice any smoke coming from around your front door at that stage?
No.
Now, going back to your statement, first statement, paragraph 42. This is before you made the call. This is page 10. I had a feeling that the firefighters would not get to us and that we would have to leave. Why was that? Why did you have that feeling at that stage?
Because I'd already told them about the kitchen.
What made you think the firefighters wouldn't get to you?
Well, they didn't manage to get up to put the fire out in Mrs. Lewis's flat. So if they was having problems getting there, how was he going to get to us? And plus, they kept saying they're coming, but no one came.
Right. Now, going back to your call, you say at the bottom of page 3 of the transcript, this is 324, it's coming from everywhere. You see, you say that. It's coming from everywhere.
Yeah,
And I think that's a reference. It's clear that in the context, that's a reference to the smoke.
yeah.
When you said everywhere, what did you mean?
Well, all the rooms that we was told to stay in, that's what it was coming from everywhere. It was in the lounge, it was in the sitting room, in the kitchen, it was in the hallway.
And if you go on to page 4, a little bit later in the call, the bottom of the page, you can see that the operator says, "Is there smoke coming in through the window?" And you say, "Yeah."
Mm-hmm.
And then at the top of the next page, she says, "Okay, right, well, you need to keep," and you say, "It's blowing, it's all around." When you said that the smoke was, or answered her question, that the smoke was coming in through the window,
I presumed, because it was not coming through the front door, it had to be coming from somewhere. And the only place we knew we had gaps was the windows.
right,
And like I said, it was swirling, so it was like it was being blown. It wasn't just rising, it was moving around.
was it moving around in the living room
Yeah,
as well as the kitchen?
yeah.
Could you see where the smoke was being moved from, where
No,
the
it was, just
drafts
like,
might be?
it was like a cloud, it was just moving.
Right.
Because we didn't have a door on our kitchen, didn't separate from the lounge. Because I said I made it into a breakfast bar, so the whole 2 rooms was open plan.
Moving on in the transcript of that call to page 7. You are given some advice halfway down. You say, well, the operator says, "And if it gets any worse, call us back." Okay. And you say, "It's worse. How worse can it be? Everyone's telling people to jump and that. I need to get out." Just pausing there. When you say everyone's telling people to jump and that, what were you referring to?
Well, I could hear people screaming, possibly saying don't jump, but it sounded to me at the time to get out, jump, but it was probably saying don't jump. But I could hear, because at one stage I had to open the kitchen window to
Right.
get some fresh air, just quickly, and then I could hear all the noise. And then I closed it back, and that's when I said to her, and she said something about not to jump the 14th floor or something.
She does. We'll come to that. It's exactly what
Yeah.
she says. But my question really is, the everyone, is that everyone you could hear down below at ground level?
Yeah.
Not people ringing you?
No.
Okay.
No.
And then the operator says, okay, well, you can't jump from the 14th floor, which is,
Yeah, yeah.
and you say, no, 12th floor. Yeah, you can't jump from that. No. But okay, we'll get somebody to you as soon as we can, okay? Okay,
Yeah, but she
thank
didn't even
you.
know what floor it was on. So that's what I mean. She was going to get someone to us, but she's still saying the 14th floor. It was mayhem that night, wasn't it? There was a lot going on.
So what, when she said 14th and you said, no, 12th, what did you think?
I just thought, like I said, we're not going to get out.
And then the operator continues at the top of page 8. Thank you. Call us back if it gets worse, okay? Call us. Someone. Do you know someone's trapped on the 11th floor now? What were you referring to there?
Another message that one of our neighbours was trapped.
Right. How did you get that message?
Someone sent a message to my partner.
Okay. And then the operator, yeah, we've got people all over. We've got people coming to get them. Okay, all right, thank you. Goodbye. After that call ended, what impression were you left with about what your choices were?
Either stay or leave on our own.
And how would you make that? Well, first of all, who would make that decision, did you think?
Me.
How would you make that decision? How would you go about it?
I made it. I just said we've got to go.
And then we have the next call, which starts at 1:54. That's LFB 332, which I'll come to in a moment. Before we do so, did the smoke conditions in your flat then get worse after this call that we've just looked at?
Yeah, it got worse. I could actually feel the walls hot now, because obviously the fire must have spread from the kitchen next door. And where I was up and down the hallway, my daughter's bedroom was there, and the other one was behind the hallway that we'd built, where the extractor was. So
Right.
I'd keep going in and out, and I felt the wall, and I could feel the heat. The walls was hot.
Can I ask you to look then back at your plan at IWS 931, which was the plan you exhibited as RS1 to your statement, and just see if we can identify the hot wall.
Yeah.
There's the plan on the screen. Can you just tell us which wall you felt getting hot?
This wall here.
So the wall,
Yeah, here, in this bedroom and here,
right,
adjacent to my neighbours.
adjacent to the neighbours.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you say hot, could you put your hand on it, did you?
Yeah, but it's like a radiator. It was hot.
Like a radiator?
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot.
Hot enough to keep your hand on, or so hot that you had to take your hand away?
I touched it. It was hot, and I knew I was panicking that it had come through the wall. You know, in that situation, I didn't know if the fire was going to come through. I didn't know, so I just touched it, and then I said, "Oh no, it's near now. It's going to be in our flat within minutes."
Yeah. And while you were in the flat, before this call, the final call at 1:54, had the smoke changed at all?
Yeah,
You said it had got worse. Could you
got
just
a lot
explain?
worse. Got a lot worse. It was not as dark as that, but it was dark.
Right.
It was darker than it was previously.
And what does it smell like?
Plastic.
Right.
Just that horrible smell.
And did it have a physical effect on you?
Yeah, it was coughing. Like I said, we got wet towels, but
And what about your family?
yeah, it's exactly the same.
Before you made this call, did you see any signs of fire in your flat?
I'm not at that time. Not in the flat. The windows that set on fire in the end. Yeah, before we was gone. My daughter's that bedroom there. The flames had spread. The fire was here, actually on the window frame outside. It
Yes.
was like the whole thing was burning.
Did any flame come through the windows?
No.
And I think in your statement you say that there were fire embers coming through the windows. That's paragraph 51 of your statement. Perhaps we just look at that. page 11 of your statement, you say, I told him, this is during the call, that the fire was coming into the flats, bits of ember were coming through the air vents.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you refer to air vents there?
Well, they put air vents in the kitchen. In the kitchens, they put vents in the window.
I see. So that's the automatic extractor fan for the kitchen?
Yeah.
So
So that's why I said it's coming to flats. I didn't say our flat. I was going into flats because that's why I thought it was spreading. Because at one stage, we actually saw, me and my partner actually saw a flame go right across the window, just shoot up like a, like when you light a fuse on a dynamite stick, it just went right past our window.
Right. So just to be clear, you didn't see any embers or flames in your flat before making this long last call?
No.
That's clear. Now we then have your 999 call at 015414, and that's LFB 332. And it starts on 332, page 2 at the top. Fire brigade, sir, please help us, it's getting worse. We're in the 95s, people are something on the landings, I don't know what to do, I've got 2 young children in here. Right, you're on the 12th floor, yes, please send. That's you making this call, is it?
Yeah, that's me.
And then, just picking up a few points from it, still on page 2, you say, halfway down the page, can you tell them to come for me now, because everyone is leaving, it's banging and everything. I can hear it on my wall next door, please, I can hear the fire on the wall next door from the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
What could you hear?
I could hear a roaring. Like yeah.
Through the wall?
Like that.
Right. Through the wall?
Mm-hmm.
And where could you hear that roaring?
In my daughter's bedroom that I made.
On page 4 of this transcript, you say at the bottom of the page, it's outside. Please, please, it's outside my door, please. And over the top of page 5, operator 1 says, right, the fire is outside your door now. Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually see fire in the communal lobby?
No. I presume because of the noise, where my daughter's room was that I made, it was near the extractor fan. That was next door to my neighbours. So that was, the walls were plasterboard.
Yes.
There was the concrete, was the shell. So because I could hear it, I presumed it's come through in that vent now and it's spread outside.
I see.
So that's when I knew, I thought, now we're trapped. And
right.
Like I said, the children's window frames was burning, so I presumed it's all around us now, and that's when I made the decision that was going to go. And that's when I was saying to him, please come and get us, because otherwise we're going to be trapped.
Jumping ahead in the call to page 26 of the transcript, if we can, please. This is some time into the call. You say at the top of the page, page 26, what's happening there? The fire's been spreading on the landing. And then you say, oh, the door, something, I need to get out, I need to get out. When you say spreading, when you said spreading on the landing, what were you referring to there?
The same I said, I thought it'd come through.
Say it again. And
then, because of the noise, so you could hear it clearly, I wasn't opening the front door. I thought maybe it's on my front door.
Right, I see.
And that's why I'm saying, look, I need to get out, because I thought they won't get to us now.
Yes. Going on to page 29 of the transcript. At the bottom of the page, last third of the page, you say, okay, Are you okay, love? Yes. Where are you, darling? They should be here now. Were you speaking to your family at that stage? I'm assuming that you were.
Yeah.
I've closed all the doors. It's not helping. So you're speaking to the operator.
Yeah.
Back to the operator.
Yeah, yeah.
If the one on the landing, otherwise I'd run to the stairs. No, I can't get through that. What would be burning on the landing? Oh, all the bloody... when you said I can't get through that, what were you referring to?
Well, I thought if it had spread onto the landing, then obviously there's pipes running through, gas pipes. So I thought if we run through that, then there's the chances of getting out are still going to be thin, but it's... I don't know, in my mind, I still said to my partner, we've got to go.
So when you say what would be burning on the landing, were you asking the operator or asking yourself?
Asking myself.
And oh, all the bloody...
Pipes. Just come to me, it must be the pipes, yeah.
I see. So that's a question and answer to yourself.
Yeah, because I was panicking.
And then operator one, okay, what is it you can see out there? Can you see anything at all? And you say just dark and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
The dark I understand. The yellow, can you help me? What was yellow?
I had no idea. I looked through the spy hole, I didn't open the door at this stage. And maybe in my mind's eye, it looked yellow because I could just see dark and like light bits. So I just assumed it was the fire.
Right. Could you see any lights coming from the communal lobby?
Yeah.
You could?
Like, that's what must have been the yellow light. It must have been something because there was something, when I looked through the spy hole, there was something bright.
Had you ever seen a yellow light before when you
Never.
looked through the spy hole?
I presumed it was the fire. I did presume it was the fire. I really did.
Okay. So you thought that was flames?
Yeah. I thought maybe she left the door open when she ran away, Mrs. Lewis, but I didn't know for sure. I didn't know if it had spread. I could hear the roaring. So...
Right. And then, if I can just jump back a little bit, you say at 18, paragraph 18, I'm sorry to take you back in the transcript. You say, at the bottom of the page, yeah, it's on the landing. You see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, our windows are on fire now.
Mm-hmm.
Please, the officers must be able to see this from outside. I'm begging you, sir. There's no way out.
Yeah.
Now, when you said the windows were on fire, which windows were
My
you
daughter's
referring
bedroom.
to?
My youngest daughter's bedroom window.
Right, so at this stage in the call, is this right, that the fire had now started to come through your flat windows?
Yeah, my windows was on fire. And like, even when I looked at it, it looked like the glass was burning also, which I thought was strange, but the whole window entrance was burning.
And then on page 20, you say, yeah, flat 95, there's fire coming in the windows a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that looks like operator one, but who was speaking then? Can you help me with that?
Who was speaking to me?
I'll just give you some context. The operator one says the fire is in your window. Can you move away from the window? Yeah, Michelle, and I think you've explained in your second statement what that's about. No, stay down there. No, don't. Send the fireman up. Yeah, flat 95, there's fire coming in the windows. Something a couple of times. Who is saying that there's fire coming in the windows?
Me.
You, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when you saw fire coming in the windows, you've said just a minute ago that was in your daughter's bedroom. Is that?
Yeah.
That's the bedroom with the external window.
Yeah, the external window, outside.
Can you describe for us what it looked like when fire was coming through the windows?
It was on fire. It was just flames. It was on fire.
Was the flames inside your flat?
No. As I said, it was the external burning.
Okay.
But the glass was burning, but it looked like it. So I knew, as normal things glass should do, next minute it's going to shatter, explode, and be in the flat.
Okay.
So the only option to do now is close the door and then hope someone, was trying to please come now before it's too late.
Right. Did there come a point when you did see fire coming through the windows?
Not into the house, no. Not into the flat.
Right. Now, just to pick up where we were, on this same page, there's a reference here to Michelle. You've explained in your second statement to the inquiry that this is actually your sister, who's called Sharon.
Yep.
And we've got a reference for that in your statement, you first calling her at 1:49.
Yeah.
And that's paragraph 47 of your statement. We don't need to look at that. How had she learnt about the fire, do you know?
I told her. My partner called her parents to say goodbye. If anything happens, you've got to talk to your love. So I called my sister to say, if we don't make it out, to say goodbye to everyone.
Now, while you were on this call to 999, Mr. Smith, were you also on your mobile phone to Sharon?
Yeah.
What phone did you use to speak to the 999 operator?
The landline.
Landline. Right. We know the first call was made on a landline. So were all the calls to 999 made on your landline?
Yeah.
When you were speaking to Sharon, do you know whether she was speaking to anybody on the ground at the time?
Yeah. She spoke to someone, to a couple of firemen.
Fireman.
Yeah. She said to me, they'll be coming for you.
Did Sharon pass on any advice from the firefighters on the ground to you that she'd received?
No, just to say that they was going to come for us. They're coming, not to give up.
Right. Just moving forward then in the transcript to page 39. Halfway down the page, caller says, "Oh, listen, there's explosions." Operator 1, "Yeah, what? You can hear explosions?" "Yes, yes, sir. Can't you hear them?" Okay. What were you referring to? What could you hear?
I could hear bangs.
Bangs.
Yeah.
Inside the flat or outside?
Outside.
Now, on this call, we can hear repeated statements from the control room operator to the effect that the firefighters will come and rescue you. So just for example, while we're on page 39, you can see a third of the way down, "Yeah, we're going to get you out. Okay, we're going to get to you." And then just a second or two later, at the bottom of the page, operator 1 says, "Right, well, we are coming to you as quick as we can. There's a lot coming towards you now. Okay, they know exactly where you are. Please, okay." And that is the kind of thing that's repeated. What did that influence what you did next, or what you did during the call and after the call?
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, we was going to leave, and then my partner didn't want us to leave. She didn't want us to lose our children in the stairs, or if we lost one another. So she said, "Let's stay where we are. So when they find us eventually, they'll know that we're a family."
Are you all right? Keep going.
If I could just take you back a little bit in the call, and I'm sorry to keep dotting around in it, but it covers lots of different ideas in different places. If you go back, please, to page 9 of the statement. At the top of the page, you say, so this is quite early on, just to give it a time, it's shortly after 1:54, maybe a minute or two later than that. You say no, we just have to get to that staircase. I need oxygen masks, inaudible, to put this fire out, and we'll get down the stairs, because it's meant to be facing the staircase, they say. Okay, but if there's smoke in the staircase as well, you're not going to be able to see where you're going. No, well, they can put the fire out in 96 then, because it's really bad. Did you understand that? Well, let me ask it this way: what advice at this stage did you understand that you were being given?
To stay.
To stay.
But I thought if we got to the staircase, it would be clear. I didn't, because it was the fire exit. I presumed that all the smoke had been gathering on the landing and the flat, and then the stairs would be. That's why I said for the fresh air, I thought it would be clear.
And then at page 10, just picking up on that last answer, you say, this is 2/3 of the way down that page, are we safe in here though? And the operator says, look, as safe as you can be, yes, we're going to get to you as soon as we can. What was your understanding at that stage of the call represented your only chance of survival?
That was it. That was the only chance of survival, for someone to come for us.
So stay and be rescued?
Because we left it too long, yeah.
Because you left it too long. Now, moving ahead to the end of the call, towards the end of the call, we start at page 42, 2/3 of the way down the page, and you say, hold on, oh no, it's on fire outside on my window. We've got to get out of here. Now we've got to get out, please. Kath, ring, tell them to come, we've got to make a move. I've got to get out. I know it's difficult because this is a long call, but was there a change in the conditions, fire or smoke, that led to you?
There was things falling now from above.
Right.
Loads of stuff was just falling, going past the windows.
And when you say it's on fire on my window, what was
Outside.
what was on fire?
The window outside.
The window outside. Could you? And it's difficult to be specific in these terrible circumstances. But could you actually see what it was that was burning outside your window?
The whole thing.
Right.
Even, like I said 10 times, the glass looked like it was burning. It didn't break. The whole thing looked like it was on fire.
And then turning the page to page 43, you say, just before halfway down, you're asked, can you see flames at your door? Yeah, not at the door, on the, it's like a little bit, maybe it's debris, but it's high. And my chest is hurting again. There's smoke all over this place. Wet the towel, girls. How far are they? Right, just stay with me, okay? I'm just talking with people. And then you say, get us out of here, Michelle. Are they coming? Etc. When the operator says, I'm just talking with people, could you hear him talking in the background to somebody else in the control room?
I can't remember.
Okay. And then, just after you say, get us out of here, Michelle, and say what you say there, you say, right, operator one says, right, we're going to tell you to leave, okay? But you need to, and you say, huh?
Yeah.
And then operator one says, you're going to have to leave the flat, okay? But you have to stay on the phone with me. Was that what did you think about that at that moment?
I thought, why are they telling me that now? Why didn't they say that on the first call I made to leave? It's harder to leave now.
Right. And that change that we've seen, did that represent a change in your mind as to what you should do now?
Yeah, if they're not coming,
right,
and she's saying we've got to leave, then I know they're not coming now. So now it's the time, isn't it?
Mm. And over the top of page 44, you say, oh, we've got to leave the flat, ? Why did you ask that question?
I don't know. 'Cause, maybe I'll ask, maybe it's so they're not coming in. It's like, so they're not coming, so we've got to leave on our own.
Then operator one says, yeah, get all the towels you can, okay? And you say, yeah, but they said the man on the phone is telling them, do we leave, really? Operator one, yeah, okay. You say, are you sure, sir?
Yeah.
Why were you asking him that?
I wanted to make sure he knew what we was walking out into, if they had reports back that it was safe for us to leave. Because all the way through they've been telling us to stay, that we were safe there.
At that stage, what influence did the change in advice from the operator have on what you would do next?
Well, like I said, I wanted to go from earlier on, but I talked to my partner. I thought we should still chance it and go, but I'd also took into account what my partner had said, that if one of us makes it out and the rest don't, you know, so I thought about all that in the time, like the consequences. If it was to leave and I got out and my wife and children died, so it was just time to stay now. What would be would have to be.
And then you see that operator one gives you some advice about towels. Get your wife and children, everybody holding hands, and make your way to the stairwell and make your way downstairs, okay? And you say, oh, no, no. The man's told us to leave, the man's told us to leave, the fireman love, on the phone. She doesn't want to leave on the phone.
That was my partner, so I didn't want to leave.
And then operator says sorry, and then you say, oh, here they are, here they are. What happened at that moment?
Fireman appeared.
Did they knock on the door?
I can't remember. They said they did, but I can't remember. I thought I opened the door to look out when they said, you got to leave. I thought I opened the door to see what the conditions were, but the gentleman said he knocked, but I thought the door was open.
Mr. Chairman, we've got a few more questions, not that much more to cover, actually. But it might we have been going for 50 minutes
well, I
or
was
so.
wondering about that.
It might be appropriate now to take the break.
Yes.
And if everybody's got any extra questions that they think I
This
should
would
be
be a good
asking,
time
this would be the time to do it.
Yeah. Mr. says, I think it would be good for us all to have a short break again now. So if you'd like to give the usher no talking about your evidence, please. We'll resume at 12:10. All right? Thank you. All right, 12:10, please. Yes, could you ask Mr. Smith to come back, please? Thank you. All right, Mr. Smith?
Yep,
Thank you. Carry on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Millett.
Mr. Smith, thank you for coming back to us.
Thank you.
Can I just go back then to the transcript of the 999 call, the last one you made, just before the firefighters arrived? Page 44 of the transcript, please. It's LFB 332, page 44. Now, on that page, you can see that halfway down, the operator says, get all the towels you can. And this is after you've been told to leave. Get all the towels you can, cover them in water, right? Oh no, yeah. Okay, you need to wrap them around you, okay? Get your wife and your children, everybody holding hands, and make your way to the stairwell and make your way downstairs, okay? My question is, did you find that advice of assistance?
No,
In what way?
it was too late.
In terms of towels and wet towels, did you think that was...
Oh, the towels, yeah, but we'd been doing that anyway. They told us to do it at the beginning.
Now, you then leave with the firefighters. Can you remember how many firefighters came into your flat?
One, I believe.
One. When you came out with that, did you go out with that firefighter?
No, he walked in front of us. And stopped by the fire exit door, staircase door.
Were there other firefighters with him?
No.
Did he give you any instructions as to what you should do?
Yeah,
What instructions did he give you?
to take a breath of the oxygen and then just keep going down. There'd be more firemen on their way up.
Take a breath of oxygen from what?
From him.
From his mask. And did he give each of you a blast from his mask?
He did, but he missed my partner. I later found out.
Right. How did you find your way across the communal lobby once you'd left your flat?
How? Oh, feeling the wall. And from living in there, knowing the way.
Do you remember
just felt
whether...
the wall,
I'm
just
so
felt
sorry.
the wall, so you didn't hit into the wall. It was right outside the door. And then once you was past that wall, you knew it was just straight to the left, keep going that way. And you was there.
Do you have any recollection of whether when you left your flat, you shut the front door behind you?
Yep, my partner did.
When you were travelling across the communal lobby, did the firefighter have a torch or some way of illuminating your passage?
No, not that I remember. I think it was on he had something on his coat here with a light on it, but not in his hand, no.
How were you able to follow him?
Just followed the way towards the fire exit door.
Okay. Can you describe the conditions in the lobby at that stage?
Oh, yeah, it was black, thick black smoke. It's a horrible smell.
How did it compare with the conditions that on the last occasion that you'd looked out of your front door?
100 times worse.
100 times worse. Did you have a wet towel over your face
At the beginning I did, yeah.
at the beginning? Did the smoke have any physical effect on you at that point?
No, not until we got in the stairs.
Right. What about your family?
Well, we all had towels at that time until we got into the stairs.
Do you remember anything particular about the temperature in the lobby?
Oh,
as you
it was
were
hot.
crossing
It was
hot?
Yeah, it was hot.
Can you tell us, I know it's difficult, but how hot? Compare it with something you've experienced before.
It was just hot, really hot. It's hot that I started sweating straight away.
Really?
Yeah.
So, hotter than a summer's day?
Yeah.
Right. You then go into the stairwell. Do you remember who opened the stair door?
The fireman.
Was it closed before he did that?
Yeah.
Okay. And did he hold the door open for you and your family to pass, or
No.
did he go through it and you followed him?
He went through, yeah.
Do you remember touching the door into the stairwell and pushing it at all yourself?
I think I done it with my foot.
Foot. Did you
Yeah.
notice any particular pressure back against you?
No.
Now, in your statement, and this is paragraph 67, it's on page 14, your first statement, you describe the conditions in the stairs. Let me just go to that. You say, when we pushed the staircase door open, it was roasting. It was so hot. Was the temperature in the stairwell hotter than in the lobby?
Yeah, it seemed hotter.
It seemed hotter.
Yeah, because it was more narrow, and it did seem a lot hotter, yeah.
Right.
It seemed like you'd been hit with a force of fire, just hot, yeah. It was hot, yeah.
And you say you could not see anything on the stairs.
No.
Was the towel covering your head, or could you actually see?
Like this, around my face, like my
Like
mouth.
the
yeah.
hand over the mouth with the towel.
Yeah,
Did the smoke affect your eyes in any way?
yeah.
In what way?
Well, it's stinging because it was so hot. It was just like,
Right. Could you open your eyes?
yeah. I kept them open, yeah.
And you say it was, you couldn't see anything.
Yeah, my eldest daughter kept hers closed all the way, but I had mine open.
Could you see any lights at all?
No,
Could you smell the smoke?
yeah.
Was the smoke, I suppose if it's dark it's difficult, but could you compare the darkness or thickness of the smoke that you saw in the stairwell when you first got into it with the smoke in the lobby as you crossed it?
It was similar. It was very similar.
Could you smell it?
Yeah,
What did it smell of?
burning, plastics, the same as before, but this time it had an effect, like, because eventually I lost my towel, but then I could feel my nostrils. I could feel like it was burning my nose. It went like it was going up. The smell was burning.
Right. And what about, so you mentioned your nose, what other, any other part of your...
Oh yeah, my throat. My throat, yeah. Because I lost my towel, because obviously my youngest daughter, she burnt her throat. She wanted to go back upstairs. So, I had to lift her up and carry her. So I couldn't do that with the towel. She lost her towel, I lost mine. So it was just going down blindly and obviously breathing it all in.
As you went down the stairs, do you remember the order in which you went?
No, I know Georgina was at the front because I think the fireman took her. And then I remember at one stage, Cash was behind me, my partner was behind me, I lifted up my daughter, but then I thought she went past me, but I can't remember.
Now, as you went down the stairs, do you remember whether there was any change in the smoke conditions?
Yeah, it got hotter, a lot hotter, and a little bit brighter. I got a bit lower, and I thought there was a fire on one of the landings, because when it was coming down, it got bright, like a glow.
Where could you see the glow coming from?
Through one of the fire doors. So in my mind, I presumed, well, that must be the fourth floor, but maybe it wasn't. I just presumed but now I know the fire was everywhere. I presumed we must be getting lower to the ground. I don't much remember really much after. I remember asking for oxygen for my daughter. I remember getting a bit lower down. I remember someone taking my daughter off of me. I remember her weight being lifted off of me. And then I remember a fireman, he poured water over my face. And then I was in the lobby, asking where everyone was. And then a police officer took me out and showed me my eldest daughter. And then I asked where my wife and my other child was. And I said, I'm not leaving without them. And then he said they're round the other side. And then he took us around there, and there was on a big green mat. There was 2 mats, a red one and a green one. And then that was it. We was taken to hospital.
When you first saw this glow coming through one of the doors into the stairwell,
Yeah.
was that door open?
No, it was closed. There was a glass on it, but it's like, so I just thought, I presume it was on the 4th because it looked like a fire. It looked orange, and the rest all the way down was just dark.
Right.
So in my mind, I just thought, oh, it must be the 4th. So we haven't got far to go.
Did the smoke conditions change as you got lower?
Yeah, it got a little bit thinner, I'd say,
Right.
than it was at the beginning. But by this time, I'd already breathed in so much, I don't really know, but it did seem a little bit not as dark the lower you got down.
Did there come a time when the smoke thinned out that you could see the lights in the stairwell?
When I was dragged into the lobby, there were some stairs that go to the lobby. I remember 3 firemen was holding me, pulling me, helping me out, and I think then it was light, yeah. It was light. You took a breath, and it was just fresh air, and you just.
Right.
It was different then.
Different then. Just looking at the question of temperature. During your descent, you say it started off and it was a lot hotter than it was in the lobby you'd come across
Yeah.
on your floor. Did it get hotter as you went down?
It's hard to say because I was sweating anyway, and with carrying my child, I was hot already, so I didn't really notice the change. Plus, one of the firemen poured water over me, which cooled me down a lot. I can't really say if the heat changed lower. No,
Where did the fireman pour water over you?
in the staircase.
In the staircase? Right, okay. As you came down the stairwell, do you remember any doors to the stairs being held open or being open?
I don't recall that. No.
Do you remember seeing any numbering on the
No.
stair walls at all?
Couldn't see numbers. Couldn't even see in front of your face. I had my daughter over my shoulder and I was trying to feel the railings to know, but the railings was hot, so I'd keep doing it, touching it, and then, because you didn't know when the stairs was going to end.
Did you speak at all during your descent?
Yeah.
Who were you speaking to?
I was shouting to someone to help my children, give us oxygen.
Did you find it easy to speak?
No.
Now you, I think, come out, according to the CCTV picture, you come out of the building at 2:42:17. Do you remember roughly how long it took you to come down from the 12th floor?
No idea.
And you described in your answers just a little bit ago this morning about your treatment. Where did you receive treatment once you got outside the tower?
Round by the Kensington New Pools, by the Kensington Centre, Health Centre. They had two big mats, and they treated me there. And then they put us in an ambulance and took us to hospital, Chelsea and Westminster.
Yes. And were you all taken to the same hospital?
Yeah.
Yes. Can I just go back to ask you a more general question about your flat?
Yeah.
If you can please be shown the plan, RS1, which is at IWS 931. IWS 931. I should have asked you this earlier. We looked at this before, and on the right-hand side of the plan, you see that somebody's written smoke alarms installed by Roy Smith,
Yeah.
and then smoke alarm installed by Ryden.
Mhm.
Can you just tell us, first of all, where the smoke alarms you installed were?
Oh, my one was in between the bathroom and the toilet. It was a battery-operated one.
Between the bathroom and the toilet?
Yeah.
Okay. But you say between those two?
Yeah, yeah.
In the hall or in the...
In the hall.
In the hall, there.
Right there.
Okay.
Right here, it was.
There. Very good. And what about the smoke alarm installed by Ryden?
Had one by the front door here.
By the front door?
One in the kitchen.
Okay. And do you remember whether you installed your smoke alarm before or after Ryden installed theirs?
Before.
Before. Do you know why Ryden installed a smoke alarm in the hall by the front door? Did you have a discussion with the London Fire Brigade about your smoke alarms?
No.
Did those smoke alarms go off on the night?
One did when we opened the front door at the final time.
Which one?
The one by the front door.
One by the front door. Mr. Smith, I'm very grateful to you for your patience in answering all my questions this morning. You'll be glad to know I don't have any more questions for you. There may be one, which may be being brought to me. And I do have a final question for you, Mr. Smith. In addition to your 2 written witness statements, and in addition to everything you've told us this morning, is there anything else about what you saw or heard or felt or smelt yourself on the night of the fire which you think it's important for the chairman to know?
Well, I heard screams. I heard people screaming. The noise, you knew there was other people in the stairs. Don't know if there was in front of you or behind you, but you knew there was other people in there with you. It was just something that no one should ever have to go through again. We went through it, which we shouldn't have had to do. But it was something that's going to live with me forever. And I'm sure a lot of people that was residents also.
Mr. Smith, thank you very much for coming here today and assisting us with our investigations. We're extremely grateful. Your evidence has been very helpful to us. So it just remains for me to thank you and your family for assisting us. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Mr. Smith, I'd like to add my thanks. You clearly had a terrifying experience, and I'm sorry that we've had to ask you to relive it in such detail today. But I do want you to understand that it's really very important to us to hear what you have to tell us.
Yeah, I do.
And I'm sorry if it's been a difficult experience for you, but you have contributed very much to the investigation. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, you're free to go now. Would you like to go with the usher? She will look after you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we now have a little bit of time before the customary lunch break.
Yes.
Which, with your permission, I would like to use, if I can, by catching up on some of the reading deficit.
Right.
So if you would just allow me to do that,
Yes.
I will then change files as elegantly as I can.
Now, are you planning to catch up on some of the reading you failed to do yesterday or the day before, or to do some of the reading you'd planned to do today?
Not the latter.
Ah, right. In that case, I'll have to pay particular attention since I left yesterday's reading upstairs.
Right. So we are in slight deficit in the reading that we've had because of the witnesses who have come to give evidence. What I wanted to do was to start by reading the rest of the Monday reads that we didn't do.
Yes.
And I can start with Sorson Chuker and her statement, if I may. Well, whatever. Yep, right. And this is a statement given to us by Sorson Chuker, dated the 12th of September 2018, and it's IWS *0001080.
Oh, you're going to give me a spare copy. Right, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, whoever's provided me with the spare
Yes,
version.
I'm sorry, I should have asked you whether you had it, but I'm glad you do. It's on the screen as well.
Yeah.
The statement of truth, Mr. Chairman, is at page 12 of the statement, over the signature of Sauson Choucair. And I should just explain, for those who aren't familiar with the relationships, that Sauson Choucair is the sister of Nabil, Hissam, and Nadia. And they share a mother, or shared a mother, Syria. They have 4 siblings. So you'll hear a little bit more about that relationship when we come to some more Choucair statements in a moment. She gives evidence about flat 191 on the 22nd floor. And she says at paragraph 2, and she wasn't present on the night of the fire, but she says, "I make this statement on behalf of myself and all of my family and close friends that I lost to the fire. The immediate family members who I lost in the fire were my mother, Syria Choucair, who I'd lived with since 2012 at flat 191, and living at flat 193 just across from us, my sister Nadia Choucair, her husband Bassem, and their 3 children, Myrna, Fatima, and Zainab. All of my family who lived in the tower died that night, but I only didn't die because I was out that night, otherwise I would not be here, but would have been burnt to death." And then, if I can pick it up at paragraph 17 on page 4. She says, "After speaking to one of my brothers, I headed to the tower. I arrived no later than 3 a.m., but I cannot be certain of the exact time. When I arrived, the tower was completely ablaze. The flames were covering the whole tower and seemed to be getting worse and worse. The place was full of police and firemen. I was standing at the back near the church, and the area was sealed off, so I couldn't get any closer. All I could do was keep calling my family, but the phones were ringing, and when they did pick up, I couldn't hear what they were saying. As I couldn't do anything, I just stood there. It was terrible to be standing watching the tower on fire, knowing that your family are in there, probably burning to death. Near where I was standing, close to the church with my mum's friend's son, next to the tower, there was a policeman and fireman on the other side of the tape in front of us. I told them my family were in there on the 22nd floor. They asked me who was in there, and I told them. The fireman or the policeman I was talking to asked me which flat number, what floor, and my family's names. I provided all of this information. The policeman took down the details on his notepad, but I didn't see him call or contact anyone. It was sometime after 3 a.m. when I spoke to them. I also told them that on the 21st floor, my friend Helen Gebremeskel was trapped with her daughter and with a family with a pregnant woman. At the same time I was telling this information to them, I was still trying to get through to my sister. Her phone would pick up, but I could not hear what was being said or who was answering it. The policeman told me not to shout. I told him my whole family is in there. I was shouting down the phone to my sister to get out, get to the stairs. The policeman told me to tell my sister to put a wet towel by the door. However, I couldn't hear any voice on the other end of my sister's phone, but it had been picked up by the looks of it. I was shouting, then I lost the connection. I kept on trying to call, and it looked like it was being picked up, but I couldn't hear anything. The policeman wrote down my family's details. I think my last contact with my sister was on WhatsApp at 2:46 a.m. I understand that my sister Nadia was also talking to Helen on the floor below, and Helen was saying that they were trying to get out. She was with the Portuguese family on the 21st floor. The woman who was pregnant worked as a receptionist in Helen's hair salon. I remained near the tower throughout the early hours of the morning, in fact until about 9 a.m. My brothers and their families arrived, but I'm not sure at what time. We were just looking at the tower on fire, and my flat and my sister's flat. Here we knew our family had been, where we knew our family had been. Both my flat and my sister's flat were ablaze, and I just prayed that my family had all got out. While we were watching the fire and praying our family had escaped, we were asking anyone if we could, if they knew anything about our family. And then at page 11 of her statement, she gives some additional information. And I can just pick that up, if I may, Mr. Chairman, at paragraph 60. She says, I never received any information, nor did my mum, as far as I'm aware, about fire safety, including what to do in the event of a fire, either at the time of moving in or at any time after. I'm not aware of any checks carried at the tower out by London Fire Brigade at any time prior to the fire. Prior to the night of the fire, I believed that if there was ever a fire in the tower, we should leave the flat as soon as possible. The reason for thinking this was from the fire training I received at work, and I believe it is just common sense. Irrespective of where the fire would be, my gut feeling would be to get out as soon as possible. In addition to the smoke alarms in our own flat, I believe that I had seen smoke alarms on the ceilings in the tower communal areas. We had a smoke alarm in our own kitchen, but I do not know if anyone ever came to check it, as my mum was the only one home in the day, as I would be at work. Our front door had an automatic closing device, and as far as I'm aware, it was not working fully, including probably on the day of the fire. It would pull the door to the frame, but did not have the power to fully close it past the latch and to click shut. The door was not changed during my time in the tower, and no repairs or modifications had been carried out on the door during my time living in the tower. I'm not aware of any electrical installations being carried out in our flat, but I would be at work during the day, so my mum may have known of such works. And she talks about the extractor fan and the lifts as well. And then in paragraph 67, with regard to concerns about fire safety in the tower generally, my mum and sister would deal with these things as they were home in the day and I would be at work. And like all the other statements, Mr. Chairman, Sorsan Chuka's statement will be read in full into the record and will be taken into account in full as evidence to the inquiry. We then come to the next witness statement, which is IWS quadruple 01070, which is the statement of Mrs. Malak Chukair. It's dated the 12th of September 2018, and it has a statement of truth at page 3, just above the signature of Mrs. Chukair on that page, Mr. Chairman. Mm-hmm. And again, just to put the family relationships in a bit of context, Mrs. Malak Chukair is married to Mr. Nabil Chukair, the eldest of the 4 Chukair siblings, Sorsan being Nabil's younger, or elder sister of the 2, Sorsan and Nadia. Mrs. Chukair was also married to Bassem Chukair, who was Nadia's husband, Nadia being the youngest of the siblings. She explains in paragraph 2, she says, I was born in and then moved to the UK when I married Nabil. My brother Bassem was married to Nabil's sister Nadia. Nabil and I have 3 children, and she explains the ages. They were not living in the Grenfell Tower at the time of the fire. And then at paragraph 3, she explains a little bit about the family habits and relationships they had. And then just 3 paragraphs or so from the second page of the statement, she says, under the title, Leading Up to the Fire and the Fire, 14th of June 2017, that night, I remember the call from Sorsan, Nabil's sister. I was awake around 5 minutes before the phone call. It was around 3 a.m. when Nabil received the telephone call. I was shocked at who would ring at this time. I remember Nabil screaming, and he turned the television on to watch the news. He told me to look at the televisions, and I knew straight away it was Grenfell Tower on fire. He said he had to go there. He was screaming and looking for his car keys. The children were asleep, so I could not go with him. I kept calling Nadia and Bassem on their phones, but they did not answer. It was around 3 a.m. I sent them text messages and WhatsApp messages, but I could see they were not online. I kept trying for 1 hour. I was screaming and crying all the time. And she also explains a little bit about the rest of the night and the day after and the aftermath of the fire on her. And like all other statements, Malak Chukair's statement will be read in full into the record and be fully taken into account by the inquiry as evidence to the inquiry. Mr. Chairman, the next statement that I wish to read into the record is IWS quadruple 01069. That's the statement from Mr. Nabil Choucair. It's dated the 11th of September 2018 and has a statement of truth at page 8 above that date and above the signature. And as I've explained, Nabil Choucair is the eldest of the 4 siblings. And he, as we've seen, is married to Malik. I think I may have said that Malik Choucair was the brother of Bassem. That's obviously not the case. She was his sister. And Bassem was Nadia Choucair's husband. I think I have explained that.
Right.
His statement explains the family history. And at paragraph 4, he explains, Nadia married Malik's brother Bassem, and they also stayed in southwest London. They did temporarily move to North London, but then came back to Kensington and Chelsea and moved into flat 193 on the 22nd floor of Grenfell Tower with her husband and their 3 children, my nieces Myrna, Fatima and Zainab. And my mother, Syria Choucair, had mobility issues as she was incapacitated with arthritic pain and also had high blood pressure. She was prescribed strong painkillers for an arthritic pain as it was extremely debilitating for her. She had acquired tenancy on the same floor in flat 191 with my sister Sorsan, who was not at home on the night of the fire. They moved in maybe 3 or 4 years after Nadia. And then there are some further paragraphs I just wish to read into the record about the concerns about the building prior to the 14th of June 2017. Yes. Picking it up, if I can, at paragraph 7. A few months before the fire, Nadia had said that there were problems with the electrical equipment in the kitchen and their kitchen appliances packed in due to faulty electrical works. She had had to buy a new washing machine and fridge about 4 months prior to the fire due to these issues, as electrical problems which would render the appliances unworkable. I think this was something to do with the power surges after the refurbishment works. I know there were also problems with the water pressure, which was very, very weak in all the taps. There simply wasn't enough of a flow, and Nadia and my mum had to report and complain about this issue. Eventually they had water pressure motors fitted under the bathtubs to bring a better flow of water through the taps. This was also around the time of the refurbishment works, although again I cannot narrow down the dates. There was a serious issue with the new windows fitted as part of the renovation works. It was clearly noticeable that they had not been fitted to a satisfactory standard, and I would describe that job as shabby. I noticed the job was not done properly, and I recall seeing screws missing. It looked like a rushed job. There were gaps in the window frames, and they were very drafty. You would assume that a double-glazed window would keep the external noise levels down, but it was so noisy you could hear the wind howling and feel the wind. In the winter, the heating would have been kept on for longer in order to keep the chill out through the gaps, and the flats lost so much unnecessary heat. The new front door was another issue. Sometimes it would just slam shut, such was the draft from inside, and it was almost frightening. Again, the new front door did not fit the old frame, and there was a huge draft that came from under the door. Bassem had to fit draft stoppers to my mother's front door as well as their flat, as it was very drafty, and also because my sister had a fear of mice coming into their home. The gap was so big you could squeeze your fingers between the bottom of the door and the floor. And then he continues to deal with the boilers and the lifts. Paragraph 13, he says, the hallways were always extremely noisy. This is due to the extractor fans. Whenever it was windy, you could hear a howling noise in the communal areas. It was like a horror movie. And then at paragraph 17, we pick it up, a paragraph into his evidence about the night of the fire itself. Page 5. I was asleep on the night of the 13th of June when my sister Sorsan rang me to say there was a fire in the Grenfell Tower. It was roughly somewhere between 2:30 a.m. and 2:40 a.m. I just did not believe her, so I turned on the television and the news channels were televising the inferno. I tried phoning Nadia, but the phone just kept ringing and ringing. I called my brother Hissam to tell him what had happened and to meet me at the tower. I told Malak to keep trying Nadia and her brother Bassem, who were inside the tower. And then I left home and left Nadia with our 3 children at home. I then rushed down to the tower. Coincidentally, both my brother Hissam and I both arrived at about the same point in time, and I parked under the Westway Sports Centre. I immediately saw the tower on fire. The flames had fully engulfed the upper floors. My brother Hissam and I devised a plan to separate and go opposite ways round the tower in order to increase our chances of getting into the building to save our family members. Our plan was to go in and rescue them. I think this would have been around 3:15 to 3:40 a.m. It was total chaos and pandemonium. The fire brigade was everywhere and kept coming in. Everything was cordoned off and the police were shouting at everyone. When I tried to get round them, they threatened me with arrest. We just wanted to get in and save them. At the time, it felt we got so close, but in hindsight, we must have been about 100 meters away. Nevertheless, you could see the fire, and you could feel the heat. Although I did not see my family at the time, I later saw the images in the newspaper of Nadia desperately waving a makeshift flag from her window near the top of the Grenfell Tower. She epitomized the indescribable desperation that residents had to be rescued. On the night, I did see their flat up in flames. I kept ringing and ringing their phones, but to no avail. I did not get through to them. The darkness turned into daylight, and we heard that local buildings such as the Rugby Club and the Portobello Road Club were opening as contact centres. We searched those centres for any trace of our loved ones, and when we did not find them, we reported them as missing. We were hopeful that they had left the building and they would be found. Every time we heard of a new centre opening, we would go and do the same. We heard that there was a telephone helpline, so we started to call that from 9 a.m., although it took a while for that service to initiate. And we finally got through around 9:30 a.m. We registered our family members as missing once again. The tower was still ablaze when we decided to go to the hospitals, and in turn, both my brother and I attended all the local accident and emergency departments, St. Charles, Chelsea, Westminster, Hammersmith and St. Thomas's Hospital. When we left them, we continued to telephone the list of hospitals every couple of hours for any new admissions of the Choucair family. We went back and searched the centres. And like all the other statements, Mr. Choucair's will stand in its entirety as evidence to the inquiry and be taken into account in full. I have 2 statements now from a Walkways resident, Ms. Nadia El Bouti. The first one is IWS 947, and the second one is IWS 1129. The first of those is dated the 10th of July 2018 and has a statement of truth at page 9. And it is, as it says at paragraph 2, a translation into English by a translator from an original statement that was made in Arabic. And she explains in paragraph 3 that she lived at Hurstway Walk as a council tenant and had lived in her property from 2005. She explains in detail the Grenfell community at paragraphs 4 through to 9 and deals with the night of the fire from paragraphs 10 onwards. There are 1 or 2 paragraphs I just want to read from that.
Yes, thank you.
Paragraph 11, Mr. Chairman, at page 2, she says, I heard a noise coming from outside, which sounded like fizzing and crackling. Our living room opens out onto a balcony, and I went onto the balcony to see what was going on. I could see a little bit of smoke coming from behind the tower. I'm not sure what time it was, but I think it was about 1:30 a.m., as my daughter took a video shortly afterwards, which has a time on it, and it's timed at 1:38 a.m. And then she explains that she wasn't worried. She stayed on the balcony for a little bit. In paragraph 14, she says, I woke up my daughter and told her there was a fire in Grenfell Tower. She came out onto the balcony with me and started filming the tower on her phone, which is the video I mentioned above. The fire was still small at that point compared to what it became later on, but we were worried about it by then as it seemed to be growing. It was shooting up the cladding in a straight line. I do not speak English very well, so my daughter called the fire brigade. They said the fire had already been reported and that they were on their way. My daughter's best friend, Myrna Chuke, lived in the tower with her family on the 22nd floor. I was also good friends with her parents, Nadia and Bassem. After calling the fire brigade, my daughter tried to call Myrna. She did not pick up the calls at first. She was probably asleep at this time. My daughter kept trying to call her, and eventually Myrna picked up her phone. Myrna told my daughter that the family were asleep. She said that they did not know what was happening. My daughter told her friend that there was a fire in Grenfell Tower and they should get out. Her friend said that she needed to go to the next door flat to help her grandmother, who needed a stick to walk with. I knew that her grandmother needed a walking stick and that her little sister Zaina had asthma, so I was concerned about how they would get downstairs. My daughter was extremely distressed. She was worried about her friend. I did not know how to comfort her, as I was also very scared about what was going to happen to them. We were watching the fire grow and it was clearly becoming extremely dangerous. My daughter made another video on her phone at 1:43 a.m. and in the video she's crying because she is so scared for her friend. I could see that the fire was spreading across the building and it was starting to spread around the corner of the block. I did not think that the firefighters would be able to control the fire now. It was just spreading too much. At about 1:55 a.m. my daughter and I decided to go down to the tower to try to help people getting out or find people we knew. We grabbed our jackets and ran out of the house and down the walkway. And then she says, picking it up at paragraph 22, at that point the fire was only on one side of the tower, on the north side, but the fire was spreading up the building in a massive line from the bottom of the tower to nearly the top, which is the 23rd floor. We were standing on the north side of the base of the tower on the green. At first the fire went straight up and down, and then it started spreading outwards and round the corners of the tower. The flames coming out of some of the flats seemed to be blue. The flames on the building were mainly orange. I thought that the blue flames were burning gas. I could feel the heat from the tower. My daughter was so hot she took off her jacket. I could see debris falling from the tower. I think it was the cladding. It was landing near where we were standing. I saw a fire truck, but we could not see any firefighters where we were standing. I think maybe they'd gone round to the entrance. I could hear people screaming from the tower, saying, "Help me, help me." My daughter was crying. It was so upsetting to see. My daughter called Myrna again and tried to tell her to get out. Myrna said her flat was full of smoke and too hot to get out. My daughter sent her a picture on WhatsApp at 2:40 a.m. of the fire outside the tower so she could see what was happening. She tried to tell her friend how serious the fire was and that she needed to try to escape. At paragraph 29 on page 6, she says, there were a couple of other families we knew, for example, the El Wahhabi family. I was trying to call them on my phone, but I could not get through to them. And we were running around in the dark, shouting people's names and trying to see people's faces. And then at the foot of the same page, paragraph 33, she says this. My daughter spoke to Myrna again at about 3:30 a.m. Myrna told her that their flat was really hot and full of smoke and that she did not think they could get out. When my daughter got off the phone to Myrna, she told me that the whole family was crying so much. That was the last time my daughter spoke to Myrna and the family. The two of us were both crying uncontrollably now. And the rest of the statement, Mr. Chairman, will stand as the others and be taken into account in full. The second statement, I've given the reference for. It's IWS 1129, dated the 9th of October 2018, yes, with a signature on page 2 under a statement of truth, and its exhibits, various exhibits. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the reads that were left over from Monday this week. There are a couple more I think, manage to do without rushing them before 1 o'clock, if I may use the time.
If you think there's sufficient time, yes.
I'm actually not confident about that. I'd rather take them as a single chunk because they're relevant to a different floor.
Be better to rise.
I think I'd ask you to do that, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
instead.
Well, before I do, I think it right that I should express my thanks to those who've taken the time and trouble to make the statements that you've just been reading.
Yes.
They are all of value, and they will all be taken into account in full as part of the evidence before the inquiry, as you have made clear. Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you.
So,
So that's probably a convenient point, and we'll break there and resume at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Yes, good. Thank you very much.